Hello, everyone. This is a disclaimer before you all get into the episode. Before you begin before you continue, I would like you to understand that anything and everything that we say on this podcast is our own opinion and our own, as well as these are also going to be spoiler alerts now. That if you have not seen this anime or have read the manga book, if there is one, then you should not probably continue until you have done so, unless you do not care about spoilers. This is just a disclaimer before moving forward. Hello, welcome everybody back to Anime Eclipse. Today's episode, we're gonna go over Fullmetal Alchemist, not just the original stuff, also Brotherhood, and obviously Leo's gonna be bringing us up on some fun facts and other things, and probably some manga stuff that I never read. That should be interesting stuff. So I think we should go ahead and hop right into it. What do you think, Leo?
Most definitely. I'm super excited for today's episode. So, this anime is notably argued to be one of the best and most popular shows during its run back in 2009 and the decade that followed. This anime is the epitome of remakes and redemption. The story of two brothers attempting to overcome God in order to bring back their mother and the trials they faced during their journey. Today, we present to you the one and only Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Yeah, Brotherhood, best thing ever. Hey everybody, I'd like to let you guys know, before we get into the anime in the episode, I would like you guys to like, comment, share with your friends, check out our YouTube if you haven't. We have an Instagram also, and if you're listening to this already on Spotify, then you're already here. Otherwise, let's get into it. We're going to go ahead and start with who our favorite characters are, or character, doesn't matter. In this case, mostly talking about the main cast of people. So, Leo, why don't you go ahead and you start with the first one?
I think my first favorite male character is Edward Elric. I don't care. He's a main character. I don't give a fuck. Because I like him because I see a lot of myself in him. Just like a person who takes on the entire world on their back and doesn't look for help, even though they don't have to take on the world on their back.
Yeah, I mean, Edward, I liked him at the start. Both of the brothers took time to grow on me. Like, they weren't like my first initial, like, kind of, oh, they're going to be my favorite person kind of thing. But I think I don't know, I had a hard time picking between Edward and his brother.
I think what really got me was like his desperation to try to save his brother, especially in that first two episodes. He's like, "Give him back! He's my brother. Give him back right now!" And I'm like, fuck! I'm about to cry. We just got here.
Well, I mean, going from, oh, we're trying to save our mom. Oh shit, where'd my brother go? Oh god, now I gotta try and save two people. I mean, the kid has a shit ton of work to do now. He tried to do this all at, like, what? How old were they?
Initially, they started off at 16.
Like, when they tried to get their mom?
Oh, no. He was like, if he became a full state alchemist by the age of 12, it took him a year to recuperate from his initial injuries. Anywhere between the ages of 10 and 12, he did that.
So he's an official Pokemon trainer. Okay. So because that's all it takes. You just gotta be 10 years old and your parents send you out and there you go. Wow. 10 years old, tried to save his mom, lost his brother, and then there we are.
I don't know. I also like that it's not that he is incredibly intelligent, but whatever he doesn't know, like he presses forward to find the truth because he's just that determined to accomplish his goal. And I highly respect that in a character. I also like the fact that while he is at times mature, the character doesn't shy away from showcasing his actual age, especially like when they make those jokes like he's a pipsqueak and shit like that.
Oh yeah, that's the best part. They're picking on his size because he's small, not just his age. Yeah, I mean, I also like the fact that he just goes. He doesn't care if it's gonna hurt him or not. Like with the truth, I also see that in a lot in a bunch of like main character people, especially if they're just dedicated. I also like his brother. I mean, his brother's not my favorite, but it's the idea that even though he doesn't have a body anymore and he's just doing this thing, he's doing whatever he can and is still willing to sacrifice himself, even though he's basically already gone, to still help out.
Alphonse isn't my favorite character, but I greatly respect him, especially during the final fight with Father. Right before the fight starts, there's a scene where he's in the other world with the truth, and he has the chance to get his body back, but he's like, "You're too weak and frail. I need to fight for my friends." And it's just like that level of self-sacrifice where you have no choice but to respect him as a character and see him as not like a boy trapped in a vessel, but he's actually like a man.
Yeah, and I forget. Edward's the older one, right?
Yeah, Edward's older by 1 year.
Yeah, it's just funny that his brother is taller than him in a bigger suit. And that he's the older one, he's the smaller one.
Well, you know why that is, right?
No, besides the whole like his soul being attached to the helmet thing, but like as far as jokes go, no, I don't know if it's like has an actual purpose.
So I was doing my research today. All my research comes from like the Fullmetal fandom. And so what they said was initially Edward was 4'11", but after they go to like the north and he gets like these new automail, it's lighter, so it wasn't stunting his growth anymore. So he went from like 4'11" to being like 5'9" by the end of the series.
Oh, well, I mean, puberty hits too. So, I mean, but so as for favorite character for me, so this gets hard because there's so many people to pick from because they're all such good people. I mean, to where my favorite voice actor does the guy who's the crazy scientist dude that does the dog thing, and then there's Roy Mustang, who everybody loves, and I really liked Scar, but we'll get into him later. A lot of my favorite people we're probably just going to end up talking about anyway, but if I had to just pick one, I'm probably just going to go with Armstrong. That dude is awesome. He's funny, he's strong, and he's just very about team power, team play. Has to be fighting for the team at all times and is willing to put himself. I mean, they're all willing to put themselves on the line. I almost say we could say that about anybody, but like, I just like his character more than probably some of these other guys besides the ones we're already going to talk about.
What I found interesting about his character that he's portrayed as this big, brawly, strong guy. But then when we talk about the Ishvalan Civil War, we find out later that he ran away from the fight and he views himself as a coward. But, you know, to anyone else, like to us civilians in the outside world, I feel like we view him differently because he ran away from killing innocent people and not just being like a dog to the military.
Yeah. I mean, like, this guy went from, I mean, he sees himself as a coward because he's meant to be strong. And then he came back and he fights for honor, for family, for this and for that. But I think the biggest reason I like him more than a lot of these people is that he brought a lot of like comic relief, like when things were like really intense anyway.
I don't know. I think he portrayed what he views as like a weakness to me seemed like a different strength. Like the ability to say no, especially to like a power of authority. To me, that's a different type of power that most people don't do.
Yeah. Like, I didn't even like when they got to his family thing, that was a big thing to interesting. He's got a whole family line, so he's got him, his sister, and then there's the head of the family, the wife, eldest daughter, second daughter, third daughter, only son. Okay, so he's got 4 sisters and him.
No wonder he's a softie. General Armstrong beat the shit out. I just want one episode just to see what the fuck she did to him as a child because this man was trembling.
Yeah. So besides, I can't pronounce her name, but like between him and his sister, those are the 2 main ones we see. But yeah, he's got 3 other sisters, and he is the second youngest, and his sister that we see often is the oldest.
I don't want this to take away from her character, but I will admit that she's very attractive.
Oh, hi, most definitely. best woman in all of this show. And with that being said, I think we should move on to the next topic of best female characters.
Well, hang on. Well, we can't just talk about the males and not talk about Roy Mustang.
Oh my god. That man is too hot to touch, and I don't mean by looks.
We'll be sure to cut out that pun in editing.
Okay.
So, what did you think about his character?
So, I really enjoyed his character even from the beginning of like the whole thing. I don't really so much care about his little thing with the Riza lady, but at the same time, just his character in general, he's the high leader person, doesn't think like everyone else. He wants to do this. People look up to him. He's got an alternate plan. He's always got something in the works, and when push comes to shove, besides rain, he can really dish it out. And then like to learn that he's the only one left to know what he knows about that fire stuff, that was like super even more awesome than before. So it's not like anyone can just do it. It was a thing passed on to him.
So about that, what did you think about that flashback episode when we see how he learned flame alchemy, and then we find out later that the secrets of flame alchemy is actually tattooed on Hawkeye's back? In my personal opinion, first off, her father's shitty as fuck for that, because what the fuck was that? Second off, the more we watch the series and the more we watch Roy Mustang and how, yes, he is an amazing leader, but at the same time, he's also fueled by hatred and a need for revenge against whoever killed Hughes Mays. And then when he finally gets to that point where he can execute his revenge, as an audience, we finally understand why Rize wanted to destroy those notes, because if flame alchemy gets into the wrong hands, it'll be worse than with Fiora Bradley in charge.
Let's just be glad Bradley didn't have the power of flames. But I mean, yeah, you get to see how you could potentially, in the wrong hands, that Roy Mustang was definitely showcasing that, oh, look what I can do, and when I'm pissed off, look what else I can do. But I mean, everything comes with a fucked up backstory in some cases. But I mean, even though, like, so the secret's passed on because it's tattooed on her back, so that way it could be preserved. No one's going to find it easily that way, basically. And if you kill her, it dies with her unless someone else knows it already. But the fact that he even got to learn it, and not only that, he didn't get to just earn it. Like, he had to, like, prove that he could get it. It wasn't just something that was just given to him either, because they were already hesitant to even hand it out. So another thing that I found interesting about his character is his ambitions. His ambition is he wants to be the king of Amestrius, basically. And he understands that the path that he's going down is a very slippery slope. And I like that he's able to take the initiative and put Hawkeye in charge of his fate. Like, hey, if I fuck up, or if I look like I'm about to do something that I shouldn't be doing, kill me. What do you think about that, having someone be both your bodyguard and your executioner? Well, I mean, considering that, how he gets his stuff and the thing that's tattooed on her back, and having her be the responsible one to take him out because he was given something that he shouldn't have unless he's responsible. I mean, I think it's fair. I think it's completely fair, especially fair who it's coming from, because even though he's her boss, he knows that she will do the right thing no matter what. So, moment of when, I'm behind Roy. I think I already said it though, but I liked him from the beginning. But I mean, I kind of I didn't know who he was walking into the anime at first, but like, I kind of already knew based off like people talking and this and whatever that I was gonna like him. But so somewhat of a spoiled situation. But I mean, faking Hugh's death thing too or that woman's death thing, that was fascinating. I think that's the moment that I really got behind him, is when he faked her thing and didn't say nothing, and then we find out.
Yeah, because that was an elaborate ass plan, and the entire time I thought Armstrong was in on it, and I'm like, at what point was he actually in on it? Like when he was on the chair crying, when he took Edward to the temple. At what point did we let him in on it?
I don't know. I just like, because the minute that all came up and then he executed his plan and was able to withhold this stuff with everybody at the same time, that's like a villain move. Keep in mind, but at the same time, it's like, oh, well, this man can execute a plan as a leader and decide that, oh, I know how to do this, even though you're all gonna hate me, and then do it to where you're not gonna hate me maybe later, but had to do what was necessary. I mean, even I thought she was gone. I
like the fact that he's not afraid to be seen as a villain, because he knows the truth, and he knows as long as he has his team with him, that everything's going to work out just fine. I like those type of characters.
Oh yeah, very much so.
For me, the moment I actually liked him, so like when the series first started, I'm like, okay, so you're the guy who recruited Edward Elric. You're pretty much going to be what looks like to be like a father figure to the boys. Okay, cool, whatever. It wasn't until they go into like this big white room that was like a man-made, what's it called, truth room, and it's Edward, Hawkeye, and Lust, and then Lust is about to kill Hawkeye because Hawkeye is just sitting there. She's like, my man is dead, my man is gone, you bitch. And he comes in like, nah bitch, I ain't dead. Burns the bitch to a crisp, and he's like, yeah, I guess I can't get you on your knees. I said, what? What? This is a kid show, what? And like, okay, so that scene was fucking epic, from the fact that he cauterized his own womb to the fact that he's beating basically an immortal person's ass. And then her last words is a major foreshadowing towards like the end of the series, is like, I can't wait until your eyes grow wide with agony, which foreshadows him being blind later in the series.
He was blind then.
No, he wasn't.
I'm pretty sure he was blind when he was kicking her ass.
Lust?
Yeah.
The first homunculus to die?
I don't think she's the first to die, but I'm pretty sure Greed was the first to die. Then she was.
You're right. Greed was the official first one to die. But like, no, he wasn't blind. I'm pretty
sure. Hold on. Let me look that up, because I'm pretty sure he was blind, because that was another thing. I'm pretty sure he was blind when he was doing that, but
he did not miss. That motherfucker was not blind.
That doesn't mean he didn't do it blind, because you can still hear. Blah, blah, blah.
Maybe in the room when him and Havoc were together, she blinded them temporarily, but then he like got over it or something, like a flash bomb maybe.
Either way, that bitch died in the most horrific way possible, with complete ruthlessness behind it.
This man is a force to be reckoned with. Like, no, like Hawkeye was right. No one else should have flame alchemy.
Like, I don't disagree, but like, just the fact that, and it's on his fucking gloves. Like, he doesn't even have to have like the thing. It's just there. That's a smart
gloves.
Move. On his gloves.
That motherfucker carved that shit into his hand. He was determined to get that bitch.
That too, but it's also on his thing.
You know what, another male character I want to talk about? Do you remember the character Kempling, the Crimson Alchemist?
Oh, not by name. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. This guy pissed me off. He kept showing up and getting in the way.
Motherfucker, it was his job.
I know that, but like, he just kept getting like. This guy annoyed me.
How you gonna be mad at someone for showing up to work?
It's not that. It's just complicated, okay? But no, he was fun. I was not expecting that, and then he's a part of the thing. Of course, he does what he does, and then yeah.
He's not my favorite either, but he is a character that I do like to think about, like the words that he said, especially during the Ishvalan War, where he was getting on Roy Mustang and the gang, like, how the hell did you sign up for the military and didn't expect to kill people? And it's like, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Oh yeah, there's no question about that. There's no question about like his word choices when it came to stuff like that. Like, even I thought, I was like, wait, how do you can't sign up for this and then think you're not gonna see death. I mean, that's a joke.
And like, you're literally military officers, like you're kind of like the first to go. And then Hawkeye, you sign up as a fucking sniper. What did you think you were gonna do? But his viewpoints really do make you question. Like, he's like that moral gray character. And the fact that he really sat there and tried to understand everyone's reasoning, like, well, why should I side with you? Why should I side with you? Like, he's pretty much like the epitome of an anti-hero. I feel like if Edward or Alric had something that he really wanted, he would have sided with them.
Oh, yeah, probably. I mean, this guy was definitely a swaying matter when it comes to, like, decision making. And on top of that, even though he had work to do, it's like he did things on his own terms. It wasn't just for the benefit of this or that, but
please trust and believe, he was crazy as fuck. This man had a smile on his face as he killed thousands of Ishvalans.
Oh yeah, I mean, and then he's the reason. Remember, he's the reason for Scar, or at least he was there when this whole thing went down. But
no, he's the reason. He's 100% the reason. Because if he hadn't clapped his hands together, Scar's brother wouldn't have died. Scar wouldn't have been hospitalized. Scar wouldn't have killed Winry's parents. And then we wouldn't be in this fucking mess.
Yeah, so then I remember it. Yeah, it was totally his fault. And then they spread some kind of lie around, and then he's going around, and then the Scar's seen as a villain because no one else knows, like, the truth behind what's going on. So we get this whole lore. I love that stupid kind of shit. Stupid. Oh, let's go to the lore stuff. I fucking love that stupid kind of stuff.
That kind of like reminds me of like something that happened in Avatar: Last Airbender, where Aang is in the firebending school, and I'm not going to say it word for word, but I'm paraphrasing. But basically, what they said is history belongs to the victor. Whoever wins has the power to change the facts and rules of history.
That's so fucked up, but it's true. Makes you wonder about our own history, don't it?
Please don't get me started. I will turn this into a Black History podcast so fucking fast.
So, well, we've brought up all these people so far, and I don't want to touch on our favorite sins yet because we're going to get there. But you wanted to talk about favorite female characters.
Some people may not know this, but Fullmetal Alchemist, the franchise, was written by a woman, and you can really see that in a lot of female characters. This show has no shortage of strong women who are at the forefront of battle, women who acknowledge their weaknesses and play to their strengths, little girls who are out there fighting their asses off better than most of the women. We have women who aren't afraid to step back and support but still be a badass. This show has amazing female characters, some of the best female characters I've seen in anime. So with that being said, Redman, who and why is your favorite female character?
Well, I mean, I think we already touched on this, but you could correct me if I'm wrong. But if I'm saying this wrong, isn't it? It's Oliver Armstrong? I'm totally saying this wrong.
I just call her General Armstrong.
But yeah, that bitch is really amazing. She's really strong, really good leadership skills, and doesn't back like down. She didn't, I don't know how to say this. She doesn't let anyone upstage her by any means, and she's hot. But like, and she's also in like one of my favorite places which is like the snow place, which is like her camp. It's her base. But like, no, I don't think any character in the show can outdo this lady. Not even Mustang can outdo this lady. And as much as I like Bradley, I put her above him.
No, I don't know about that Bradley part. I don't know about that one, but the rest of it's pretty true.
It's a hard choice, okay? It's a hard choice, but if I had to pick, I think I'd pick her over Bradley.
You know what? I'm not even gonna fight you on that one. I get it. I get it.
She is, even though she's blonde. I mean, no big deal. That's not a bad thing. It's just besides that, like everything else going for her. Strong will, strong this. You can't bring her down for nothing. Nothing. And I think she's stronger. I'm pretty sure she's stronger than her brother is in a fight.
Oh no, it was proven that she's definitely stronger than her brother in the fight. 100%. It's canon. But I agree with you 100%. Like, honestly, if it wasn't for my favorite female, she would have been one of mine. Honestly, I see a lot of myself in her as well. Like during that scene when the homunculus came in, no one in their right fucking mind would think, let's douse it in oil and blow it up with a cannon. That's some shit I would do. Fuck the logic. Let's go with that.
Hell, she doesn't even have to second guess anything. She just does it.
I think one of her best traits is that She determines things with her own eyes. She doesn't give a fuck about a letter. She doesn't give a fuck about your rank. She will determine if she will respect you with her own eyes and her own intuition. And I greatly respect that.
Hell yeah. Doesn't care about shit. Doesn't care about your background. Don't care about anything. Don't care about where you came from. It is all up to her.
See, and she also represents a lot of women in the military. Being a woman in the military myself, now granted, I haven't been deployed or anything. I just got a boot camp. But we do a lot of trainings on fraternization, sexual harassment, sexual assault. And so that guy, what was that guy's name who was kind of like the recruiter for the homunculus? Raven.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That scene where they're talking and he gets really close to her and kind of starts stroking her, demonstrating like an abuse of power or a coercion, like you help me, I help you type of thing. And the scene where she stabs and kills him, I said, yes, we all wish we could do this. As women in uniform, we all wish we could do that to those creepy ass superiors.
Yeah. I mean, shit. I don't know that. And then like, she's just too good at her job. Like, even as, like I said, she's better than even Roy is as a leader person, making decisions and so on and all this other crazy stuff. Like, oh man, just almost any scene that has to deal with her, I just wanted more. Like, I could not, like, especially when we got to that part where we first meet this lady. It's probably where I sat down on the couch and said, okay, marathon time. Let's keep watching.
Okay, so when you're comparing General Armstrong to Colonel Mustang, think of it like this. Imagine the two are sitting across from each other playing checkers. Colonel Mustang thinks 3 steps, even 4 steps ahead of his opponent and is able to manipulate the situation to, like, for his benefit. Now, General Armstrong, she's just going to blow up the damn board, put a blade to your neck and say, bitch, I win. And I respect that. I do. You can argue me on that, but tell me you can't see that.
I also see, well, Roy has a thing for women, so I don't think he's gonna argue that point either. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, there's no way he could outdo her, even with all his steps ahead. She'll just put an end to it before he gets there. I mean, that's how I feel about it, and not just because I like her either.
I'm not trying to say like she is less intelligent or less of a strategist than Roy, but that's just kind of like the impression she gives off. Now, when it comes down to it, she's a damn good liar. She fooled the Fuhrer and she feared father. I said, damn, bitch. Go, bitch. Yeah,
but I think that's just how her personality comes off. And you can believe whatever she says half the time. Because, like, it's all that confidence built into just, oh, yeah, what are you going to do? Call my bluff. Do it. I dare you. Come on. Let's do it. Like, you're gonna challenge her? You're gonna challenge that lady? Even if she's lying, you have to call the bluff on it? That's not easy. So,
we talked about your favorite female. Now let's talk about my girl. Let's talk about Hawkeye. Oh my gosh, girl. So, Hawkeye, once again, a lot of characters I can see myself as, or see characteristics of myself as. Hawkeye reminds me of me when I finally find a person that I genuinely like, and I am a ride or die, and I will protect until the day I die. I loved her relationship with Roy Mustang, her undying loyalty for him. We can see her as like this super strict militant person, but underneath all of that, she's actually a really compassionate person, and I love those parts of her character. My favorite scene is, again, the episode where Roy Mustang kills Les. Prior to that, Les is kind of taunting her, saying, well, I just had to kill a sacrifice. And she's like, what you mean by that? She's like, I killed your man. Emptied the clip on her ass. I was like, get him. And then the only thing I didn't like about that scene was how she just gave up on life because she thought that Colonel was dead. Now that is one of my favorite, but my least favorite flaws about her is that her whole will to live is driven by Colonel Mustang, a man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I respect this woman, like, a lot. And especially since Roy had picked her out to be, like, that thing that you were saying earlier, his weapon. But, like, I don't know. I just feel like it's a character that I don't exactly like. I don't like her, but at the same time, like, oh, I need her around. Like, she has to be here. She has to be a part of the situation. If she's not here, this may not work out. kind of thing. Like, I feel like she was a really crucial part, not just for story stuff, but like anything that the team was doing.
And if we really think about like the Elric brothers and their dynamic with the people around them, you can say Izumi, their teacher, is like their mother. Roy Mustang's their father. And Hawkeye does a really good job of being like their stepmother. Like, she was there to give them guidance, not necessarily coddle them, but still acknowledge the fact that these are children, like doing human transmutation that most people, actually no one else is willing to do for the sake of their mother.
I mean, I think she did a good job of being kind of their mom, but I also felt like, even though I don't remember what that other girl's name is, the girl that works on Edward's mechanical parts.
Winry.
Yeah. I mean, I thought she was doing a pretty good job, even though there's supposed to be like a thing or something later. But no, I see Hawkeye as a pretty good mom figure for them.
I like the fact that she took the time to explain to Ed what happened during the Ishvalan War. And you have to think about that in like a real life setting. You're admitting to the biggest sin you have ever committed in your life, the thing that haunts your nightmares and that you wish to atone for, to this kid. Like, that takes a lot of emotional capacity to do that.
Well, that, and to explain it to a kid who has to, I mean, she got him to understand. Granted, I'm not saying Edward's dumb, but to get a kid to understand what's going on and to make him understand the situation.
I don't know. I feel like at that point, it's kind of like a smack in the face. Like, granted, Ed understands the military, but I don't think he understood firsthand, because he's never been to war, like how fucked up the military is, and how at the drop of a hat, the military will kill thousands of people for what? For fucking what? Just because someone told you to?
I mean, let's see. I mean, I don't have too much to say on her. Besides, I think, like, I really liked her hairstyle.
Since I brought up the Ishvalan War, let's go ahead and talk about the outcome of the Ishvalan War, which is Scar and like his ideologies.
Oh boy.
You know what? My first question is, off the top of your head, is he right or is he wrong on the path that he chose?
Is this after we know? That's the question. Because if we're going completely based off of after knowing everything, fuck, I'm behind this man. Like, I just am. I don't see myself not kind of doing the same thing that he did in some respect of the matter. Like, I would go crazy too. And then the worst part is I become the bad guy because of a lie, when I could have been the savior, the good guy. I'm not supposed to be looked at this way. If the lie hadn't have been spread the way that it did, everyone would have backed him up. There's no reason for not. It's just because of the thing. I don't see him after learning all that stuff. I'm behind him.
So for context purposes, what was the lie?
Oh my god. Well, I just know it's so. You just recently watched this. I watched this a couple months ago. So the whole. Oh my god. You're going to have to explain the scene to me again.
Give me like a quick little brief and I can help you out.
So that whole thing is that where something happens. I'm trying to remember what happens. The whole thing happens, and then I think people die, and then it's blamed on him, or something of that matter is put on him when it wasn't really him, and it was the other guy that we were just talking about who was just doing his job, but no one believes that he would have did it because he's part of the military.
I don't think that happened in Brotherhood, because they know Kimberly did it. He was ordered by the military to do that. No one's gonna lie on Scar about that.
I'm trying to remember. I just know that there's a lie here. And it gets switched on to
I know that when Scar shows up, they're like, yo, what the fuck is this Ishvalan doing in the Mistress? And then it's that he wants revenge for his fallen brethren because you did a whole genocide for nothing.
Oh. When he's doing Scar because Scar in his face.
Well, while you're looking that up, I'm gonna keep talking. Yeah. So like, Scar's ideology is that he's supposed to be God's punisher, but at the same time, he relinquishes his Ishvalan name because he says that it's a gift from God. So I'm just like, I feel like Scar just does not know what he wants to be, but he's just powered by hatred. He just wants revenge, because all of the things he says to me, is just him giving excuses to him being a hypocrite because you're saying alchemy is of the devil. Yeah, you're using alchemy to get your revenge.
Yeah, and he's after alchemists in particular.
He's going after all the state alchemists that were in the Ishvalan War.
Yeah, because he's known as the alchemist killer.
And then on top of that, he killed Winry's parents. Granted, it must have been like a haze because he had just woken up and killed them. But at the same time, your hatred was just a seed for more hatred because Winry had every single right to shoot that man in the face.
Oh yeah, she totally did. Because they were the ones trying to heal him and bring him back to whatever, or trying to save him. It just so happened to be her parent.
So while you're looking for that, you know how I mentioned how like Winry had every right to shoot him twice? Yeah. Twice she could have killed him. If you're Winry, would you have taken the shot, or what would you have done?
Oh, I mean, I'm trying to remember if she knows or if she finds out that he's the killer person. Doesn't he just tell her, or somebody tells her?
So in Brotherhood, there's like a standoff between Scar, Alphonse, and Edward's talking to him, and he didn't know Winry was there. And he tells them, like, you're the one who killed Winry's parents. And she's like, what?
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah. I mean...
Insert Batman meme.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I would be hesitant because it's the idea that, oh, I just learned this, but since everybody's on some kind of revenge story in this whole thing, I don't think I would have. Like it happened so long ago, and I'm just now finding out this thing, and I don't think I would have done it if I was her.
As much as I say that sometimes some people need a bullet in them, I acknowledge I've said that in the past, but in this moment, I don't know. I would have to think about the life that I'm living now. And just like Winry, she was like, Edward, thank you. Because if I would have shot him, I wouldn't be able to face the people who miss me now. And I like thinking like that. It's like, I would have pistol whipped him.
just hit him with it.
I'm going to kill you. I'm just going to hurt you a little bit.
I mean, we could always do what Vash did originally to his brother. You don't have to kill the man. You just immobilize him. You just shoot his legs, shoot his arms, make him immobilized, and, you know, say you got your win, but just don't kill him.
But in the heat of the moment, like she was, I can understand, like you wanting to, you're thinking about doing that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, you might not stop once you pull the trigger. You might just keep pulling that bitch.
Okay. So, yeah, no, I mean, in the heat of the moment, unless I had already talked myself out of it, I still don't, I think I would have hesitated too much, and I don't think I would have shot. I don't see, but there's no reason why, like, I wouldn't have justified her doing that. But at the same time, if I was in her shoes, I don't think I would have done it either. Okay, I am not going to find this. Like, I'm staring at this thing in the face. And I'm not getting anywhere with it. Like, this is literally... I just sent you the thing. But, like, I just now even remembered that I had to do with his brother and these notes that these people want. And they all go over here to do all this stuff. And then I totally forgot about it, this dude's brother. Even though he's, like, a major key to this whole thing. And those notes that they're after. Like, I forgot all about that.
Bold of you to assume I'm going to read that.
Well, I didn't say you would. I'm pretty sure has the answer I'm looking for, and it's right there, and I'm like, I can't find it. Like, I'm looking through this thing. So, I am...
You literally sound like the character deciphering, and it's like, we know there's something else in here.
There's something here, and I don't see it. And I'm pretty sure what I'm looking for is here. But at the same time, I feel like I'm remembering this wrong, and that I'm confusing it with something else. But something happens there. But I totally agree why he started doing everything. But for some reason, I can't remember why or what that exact reason is, even though it's staring me in the fucking face.
See, here's the thing. You could agree with him, but at the same time, he was going after Edward. Edward had nothing to do with that war.
It's... You could say that's Mustang's fault. It's just because he's a state alchemist and he's going after all of them, right? It's like getting promoted and say, hey, that man's going to kill you because I promoted you to this thing. and he doesn't care. And then you'd be like, oh, you did what now? I'm this now? I got a bad guy now? I got an arch enemy to worry about all of a sudden for reasons I don't know?
See, at that point, you're just blind hatred because you're targeting people who had nothing to do with it. Now, if you were really bent on destruction, you really want to be the punisher of God, you will go after the guy who actually burnt your family to a fucking crisp.
But I'm pretty sure he didn't even know himself the whole father stuff and all that stuff going on.
Because he didn't take the time to research. He didn't ask questions. He said anybody in a mesh dress with a fucking blue eyes and one of those locket things, you gonna catch the smoke. And that was just dumb.
Yeah, but you have to view it from his, I guess, his perspective. You're saying that this man, after everything that had happened, is going to think logically first. Granted, I feel, yeah, he had enough time to calm down and think about it later, but the way he sees it, he's just gonna end them all. He doesn't care. He's gonna end it all. If you have magical little alchemist powers, he's gonna murder you.
It isn't him taking the time to like sit down calmly and think about it. It's the fact that you were previously a monk. You know the teachings of peace and everything. Your own teacher told you not to choose hatred, not to choose forgiveness, but to choose to change the people's mindsets. And you're deliberately choosing not to listen and you're just going to do your own thing. No, you're a fucking moron.
I still feel like I'm still behind him.
I like how your voice got smaller. Like you sound angry. Maybe I should I just want to say a couple words.
So
we know that you guys are really into the episode, but we just want to take a quick moment to like, comment, and share this episode with your friends. That way we can make more episodes in the future. All right, let's get back to the episode.
All right, now that we got the characters out of the way, we're going to go ahead and talk about our favorite sin of the, I guess, the 7. So what was yours, Leo?
So there are many animes that do this, but Fullmetal Alchemist, among many other shows, have their own adaptation or take on the 7 deadly sins found within the Bible. So in this show, the 7 deadly sins are nearly indestructible beings created from Father, which are all representations of his own human sins. So we have, help me keep up with this. We have lust, greed, envy, pride, gluttony, wrath, sloth. All right, we got them all. Yeah. And so with all that being said, my favorite homunculus or favorite sin is envy. Now, the cool thing about envy is one of those few characters in animes that do not have a gender. So we see that another time in Soul Eater with the character Corona. And so their pronouns are interchangeable, but envy is my favorite character because one, I am highly attracted to this character. Like when I tell you mommy got a muscle fetish. But anyway, so this is like another character that I see myself as, that I'm a very jealous person. And Edward completely destroys this character at the end of the series, but he says that you spend all this time belittling humans when actuality, you're jealous of humans. You're jealous of the fact that, when push comes to shove, we always persist. And you, what are you? A little green monster? I also enjoy the fact that Envy's kind of like the comic relief character because out of all the sins, they're kind of like the bratty younger sibling. Yeah. What else? What do you want to say about Envy?
I like Envy. Isn't Envy also the same one they turn into that little green monster and they put him in like this little tube thing?
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah. I liked it even more then, and then they like I also think that like Armstrong that Envy was here for comic relief as well as bringing, I guess, some truth, some light, trying to speak into people's ears and this and that to either save themselves or to tell Edward what's going on or this, even though it doesn't benefit them at all. I just got more confused, mostly when, like, I guess when Envy, I forget where they were. They were inside Gluttony's stomach. Is that when they were bigger than usual? And then, then they could go to their full size potential when they were fighting them.
Yeah. So that's actually like a play on words. And you can, like, the more we talk about the sins, you're going to understand that, Envy, ugly green monster, Envy is actually a giant, ugly green monster.
But I mean, like in Gluttony's, like this thing was huge, and I don't. Also, all these sins, you can't kill them without killing the stone inside of them. So unless you kill that, like they just keep coming back.
So here's the thing: the stone has a limit. So if you keep killing, and don't give them time to regenerate, eventually the stone is going to wear out.
Wear out, or I mean, if you could break it, I'm assuming that's what happens. Because when Gluttony gets killed in like one go, like literally one go, like just bite through the stomach, and then all of a sudden, so I'm assuming they broke the stone, and then you see no more of that.
Well, actually, Gluttony died towards the end because pride swallowed him for his senses.
Oh, ate him. Yeah, okay. So I was watching that scene earlier, and he's like, "Oh, don't eat me."
I kind of feel bad for him. Like,
even though he eats everyone else.
Keep him as a pet. He would make like a good pet. Like,
it's kind of what he was.
Guy.
That's kind of what he was. Like around Lust, he was just like this little pet that went around and did what he was told.
So let's talk about Envy, and like how they pair up with like their siblings. Him and Gluttony were funny as shit.
Oh,
him and Lust, like that was an actual brother sister or sister relationship. How they like worked together and how they like were able to basically get shit done together.
Yeah, like I mean, Lust I think also used the sins to their, well, besides Bradley, but she used, anytime she was with them, she would use them for their best potential possible, aside from her own gain.
So fun things that I learned today off of the Brotherhood fandom is that there's only 3 instances where the homunculus were killed by a human, which is funny because the human that killed them corresponds with their like most prominent sin. So Edward Elric kills Pride, which, you know, Edward's a prideful character just in his actions and attitude and like his ambition on trying to surpass God to bring back his mother. Like he was overconfident in his abilities as a child. There's Mustang, who kills Lust, and we see him as, you can see it as either like a lust for power or the fact that he's kind of like in his mind a sex symbol in the city with all the prostitutes and shit.
Yeah.
And then the last person to kill Homunculus is Scar himself, and he's the one who killed Wrath, which is a prominent attribute in Scar as a character because he was just running around the city killing people blindly.
Huh. It's all interesting.
So with all that being said, Redman, who is your favorite homunculus?
Well, the best combat-oriented leader person here, besides Armstrong, the Lady Armstrong, King Bradley is probably the best person here. Like the best sin in general. Like, yeah, Lust is pretty cool, but this guy just takes the cake. I mean, did you see how this guy fights? Even when he had to fight, he was fighting Envy in the sewers and just kept like beating the shit out of them?
That was that moment. That was that moment where I was like, you know what? You all right, my brother? Because no, let me tell you something. Up to that point, we're thinking that he's just this cool old guy. Maybe he got some fire experience. Nothing too crazy, you know? Man's pulled up without the jacket, came in with a tight-fitted shirt and overalls, 2 blades, and said, let's go. Bodied everybody in that sewer. It was crazy. Hands down, Bradley had the best fighting sequences out of all the homunculus.
Well, not just them. Besides Roy's flame thing to Lust, I think he has all the best combat scenes, and he does it like the dude almost never fucking misses. The dude basically hits what he's trying to hit, and the people who get away are just fucking lucky. Like that stupid Lynn guy that turns in, like, that Greed takes over later. Fucking lucky. That kid is lucky. And even Bradley says himself that he's just lucky. Like, oh my god. Anything Bradley says, like, you just shut up. Like, I already said this earlier to you, but like this, I really wish he wasn't the bad guy here. I really was hoping he wasn't. I was kind of hoping, we got a smart, good guy here who's going to figure this out, and this guy can fight, and this guy can take on any... Man, we got a guy on the military that none of these bitches can handle. Oh, no. he fucking takes off the eye patch, and you find out he's one of them. And even though he turns on one of his own people to prove a point, it's just, why did he have to be the bad guy? Why did he have to be the best bad guy? I don't even care about Father anymore. This guy is Father to me. This guy is the best dude here. All the way around. Like, okay, favorite characters overall. Like, okay, you have Roy, and you got Miss Armstrong, and you have this guy. I don't think you could beat anybody else. These three alone. Come on.
So I will admit it's been over a decade since I have touched either Fullmetal or Brotherhood at all. But I do remember him being the bad guy. And I don't remember anything from the series prior to this podcast. But just looking at him from start to finish, from the time he was in the hospital with Ed the first time, I said, every word that you're saying is a threat. A fucking threat.
I mean, I also thought it was weird. I mean, this is kind of what led me on to it. Is the whole, oh, don't worry, Ed, we'll take care of it. Oh, don't worry, we'll call you when we need you. And all this. I mean, I just thought, I was hoping this man wasn't going to turn into the thing. Why do the people that I have to like have to be the bad guys? I mean, come on. There's knives. There's anyone I like is like a villain thing, and I don't know if it's just me. It just turns, even if I don't want them to be, somehow they end up being it.
So, do you understand? Do you remember how like he got his Philosopher's Stone?
So, I know Father injected the stone into him to become his wrath, and I don't remember too much after that of why he did that or why he chose him, because I know he's one of 2 homunculi out of the 7.
So his background story was really interesting because originally he's a part of this like focus group of children who were all raised in order to be in a competition to be a Fuhrer. And out of 11 candidates, he was the only one that was able to withstand the Philosopher's Stone. So I looked this up today, and it's either he overcame all the wrathful voices in the Philosopher's Stone, because like when you're injected, it's a bunch of souls, or his soul was the most wrathful. Either way, he won.
Well, it would explain why he can control himself better than anybody else and still be able to pull off what he was doing. And to be in a high power, now I don't remember any of that part, how he became in the higher power of the military. But like, to be that high up, get everyone on your side, and then be the bad guy, oh, it's a perfect setup.
Here's the thing, his acting was so good. No one, not even the audience, knew that he was going to be homunculus.
Again, it got me. I said, I was really hoping for the best. So in certain points, we kind of like view his idealisms about like the actions that Father is taking. I don't know. What do you think about King Bradley's idealisms? Like in what context?
During the Ishvalan War, when they were trying to like come to a treaty with the Ishvalans, first off, he wasn't having none of that shit. Basically, they're telling him that there's going to be divine justice, and he's like, no, there's not. How many lives do I have to take before there's divine justice to be pointed to me?
I mean, just like Scar. I mean, I don't know. These characters are really believable to me, to where like, and I think the show's done that on purpose. Oh, well, what about this guy or Winry or your decisions? These are hard choices to make for anybody to make. I mean, some are obviously smarter than others, but like, I don't know. That's hard. But I do agree, like, but I wonder if he's just set up what he's doing, so that way he's trying to, like, I don't know. It's a hard answer for me.
So I'm not very knowledgeable on religion, but I am a Christian. I understand, like, he has a more atheistic approach.
Yes.
To like the world itself. Him and what's his name? Elric. And I don't agree with them, but I understand where they're coming from. I understand where their questions are coming from.
I mean, I personally, I'm not one to go into religious beliefs, and I don't, just like him, I don't use them as a way to make decisions or things like that, of that choice, or those kinds of decisions. But I mean, I don't even see myself as an atheist either. I just don't believe. So yeah, there's too many people I would say yes to in this show. That's how I feel about this.
Like I said, I'm Christian. I get why he's asking so many questions, and I get it. But at the same time, I can't agree with him because you're out here killing millions of innocent people.
But into his eyes, right? I'm assuming it's for the greater good. And well, at the time it seems ridiculous, because at the time you think he's a good guy and people are looking up to him and people, well, think he's in charge. And well, we're just going to do what he says. But at the same time, like, you're right, but only from our perspective at the time. I mean, but there's definitely no way like any sane person is going to do it, religious or not, all these innocent people. But at the same time, I think, I mean, if we're doing it based off of his reasoning for the greater good, even though it's a bad plan and it's for their own thing, I'm probably just going to side with you on this one.
So since we're still on the topic of homunculus, we've already established Envy's a cool character, King Bradley, awesome character. But another character that I want to highlight is the only other human homunculus, which is Greed.
Yes. So what about Greed?
I don't know. Like, what did you think about the relationship between Greed and Ling?
That was an interesting dynamic of the whole thing. I just don't remember. The only thing I don't remember is how Greed gets into Ling, because they ended up killing Greed first. I just don't remember how Greed comes back and then takes over Ling. I just know that it happens. I just don't remember how it happened. As for the inner thing between them, like, I think it's a really cool thing that they could kind of go back and forth, but Ling kind of just let Greed take over, and then I guess Ling was meditating or something, and Greed thought they were in charge, and then when you get closer to the end of it, he's like, "You're not really in charge. I just kind of like sitting here," and then they kind of took over later, and then got their body back. But I don't remember how Greed died the second time, so, because it's been a while.
So after Edward, Envy, and Ling get out of Gluttony's stomach and they meet Father for the first time, they pin down Ling, and he's like, no, give me the Philosopher's Stone. Give it to me. So yeah, at that point I was kind of worried about him, which is why I kind of added him as a talking point, because I'm like, similar to like Soul Eater, like kind of like that madness for power. Even though that power is for your kingdom, but I'm like, that's still a slippery slope.
Well, yeah, because power leads to not just greed, even though that's what we're talking about, but power in general leads to blindness of looking and thinking logically, and it leads to greed. It leads to basically a lot of the sins in general, and corruption.
Ling and his ambition to be king reminds me a lot of King Canute from Vinland Saga. So both characters initially start off as like these princes, pure of heart, strong, positive ambitions. But as soon as Canute from Vinland Saga got the crown, he became tainted with the weight and like the sins. Like he even went as far as, spoiler alert, he killed his own brother in the show because of the crown. And so I'm like, is that the same path in the future that Ling is going to go down if the series like were to do a spinoff?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think so.
Okay, so what do you think about Greed in real life? So in the show, there's a scene where, Greed in the body of Ling is talking to Edward Elric. And, Edward doesn't want to hear shit from him because he's a sin. But Greed is explaining to him that greed is not that bad of a sin because everybody has something that they desire that they don't have. What do you think about that?
See, I thought when that came up, I thought that was very interesting, because the other thing I liked about Greed wasn't exactly, he's one of them, but he's kind of just acting on his own. Like, really kind of just acting on his own. That's the whole reason I think Father even killed him in the first place, was he wasn't really, I don't remember if he wasn't just doing his job or whatever, but he was getting too reckless. But Greed just really didn't care. He wanted to give people there and what they kind of wanted. Like he like envy can also transform into whatever, right?
No, so greed is the ultimate shield.
Oh, so he can't transform like envy was able. I thought he could transform, but no, I like the whole thing when he's explaining to Edward that whole stuff. Like that's also kind of explaining how the other sins work too. Everyone's got a like not just the greed thing. It kind of self-explanatory is the other stuff too. Like these are all human things, and one of these things can overdo the other one, but he's just explaining himself. Like lust, everyone has lust for something. Everyone's got a sloth for something, like being lazy or this over whatever. And then the greed thing is probably just the reason it was better explained. Everyone's greedy for something, whether it's money, for power, or maybe it's even one of the other stuff. Greed kind of goes hand in hand with a lot of the sins itself. And then wrath, everyone's got hatred about something. Just look at Scar. We were talking about earlier. I mean, I can't say much for the gluttony stuff. That's just somebody who's super hungry all the time. But hungry for what? Like just a big appetite into what? Like they'd all feed into the same ideal that he brings up. Which that's how I saw it, is that he's not just explaining himself. He's explaining, oh, these are how the sins work. Everyone's got one of these sins, but one is stronger. One is a stronger feeling in a human than the other. And he's just explaining how it works. But from his perspective, because he's greed.
And to go along with that, like Father tries to expel all these sins from himself to try to be like a quote unquote perfect being. But at the end of the day, you still have those sins with you. His goal to obtain, to capture God and be this perfect being and to gain all this knowledge is just you being a greedy old man, a prideful old man, actually. What I liked most about like the dynamic between Father and greed, it's kind of like, you ever been a parent? And you like and you kind of don't like your kid because they have all the qualities that you have, because those two wanted the exact same thing. We even hear greed say it. No, he wants the world, I want the world, I'm gonna take it from him.
Yeah, he started acting on his own. So
which again is like another way, like both of them died. Like I said, Roy, Elric, and Scar. Greed was pretty much the one that did the final blow on Father. You know, he enters his body, turns his body into like a breakable material, and then that's when Edward punches him in the chest.
Yeah, which I really like that whole fight too. But
there's only one thing I want to say about pride. Pride is another play on words. So you know how pride, you're like a boastful person, like you have to be above everything.
Uh-huh.
So the play on word is pride. The character or the homunculus is actually like working in the shadows and is very limited. At the same time, he's also the spitting image of Father, which is like my child, my pride and joy.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I hated that kid so much. Like,
Mommy.
I was so happy when they imprisoned him into that rock. like, yeah, you stay there. You don't come out. Like, that kid's just annoying. Like, even when he's pretending to be the Führer's son and do that stuff and whatever, like, I just, like, you know who I am? Like, oh my God. I was like, how come that man doesn't beat that boy? That's his son, right? Just beat it out of him. Don't let him talk to you like that. Come on now. Your wrath. Show him. Just, oh my God. I fucking hate that kid. Anytime he showed up. The only time I think that was cool was when we first kind of meet him in the Armstrong like fortress place where they don't know what's killing these people in the tunnels when they go explore that thing. That was kind of creepy and like cool and stuff. But like after that, I didn't care anymore. This kid was just annoying.
The crazy thing is, he's the oldest sibling. Like, what's Wrath going to do? Lecture his older brother?
No, I get that, but I mean, like, the fact that even, I don't care if he's the oldest sibling, doesn't make him the strongest sibling. I still think Wrath could take on any one of them, even Father, maybe. But I mean,
see, and that's kind of like that World War ambition that all boys go through. Like, when they hit like a certain age, they get big and tough, and they're like, I could take my dad. You got too much dip on your chips, son.
Like, I feel like, then again, it could just be my biased opinion in that I really like King Bradley, but I feel Bradley could take on any of those sins, including Daddy. So But I don't know the full potential of some of these other sins. But
We've been dancing around that. Father, what the fuck? Daddy? Like, what? So it took until the very last episode for us to realize, why are we here? Why are we going through these sacrifices and things like that? And all of it's just because he just wants to be a perfect being and gain knowledge. But like, what did you think of him as like an antagonist?
Boring. Very boring. Like, until we got to the final stuff between him and Edward, like, just boring. Boring, nice guy, letting his other things do his job. And like, I don't even know what to say. And the fact that he took on, I don't think that's his real form, but the fact that he took on Edward's dad's look to be father, I'm like, is that your brother? Who is that? What is that? Why does he look like you? Like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't like him as an antagonist, really. I don't even like the idea that, oh, he's like the main bad guy, dude. Dude, we just went through these 7 things, and the worst one of them to fight against is either the Pride dude or King Bradley. Everyone else, Sloth got beat by 2 big dudes, and Lust got blown up to death, and Gluttony got chewed in half and eaten. And come on now. I mean, the other ones are cooler and better than Father is. Father just, yeah, he's strong, but he gets beaten by his own people. So I don't know. I didn't even see him as a good, like, person to be speaking all that much, really. It could just be the whole religious aspect of it, but at the same time, yeah, no, Father, I didn't like Father.
I get you. Like, I found him like by himself without the sins and everything. He himself is kind of mundane, and that's kind of like what they're getting at with the whole he's just what a dwarf in a flask thing.
Without the sins, he's nothing.
It wasn't until Hohenheim at the very, very end, like, explains that you did all this and you look down on humans, but you want the exact same thing that we do. You wanted a family. That's why you have these children. That's why they call you father. But you just couldn't lower yourself to admit that you wanted this.
Yeah, he created the very thing he was jealous of, but without saying he was jealous and thinking it was something else, by creating it as a religious thing instead of what it actually was and calling it something else.
I think that Father, along with like a major overall theme in the story, is what Edward said initially in the beginning during the false priest arc. They were talking about flying too close to the sun, how Icarus had the wax wings, went too close to the sun, and then fell into the ocean and drowned. That's kind of like Father. Father flew way too close to the sun, actually had the sun in his hands, and was then punished for trying to be. There is no such thing as being a perfect being or gaining all the knowledge. I think that's kind of like the revolving thing that they want the audience to take away from that character himself.
I mean, there's that. I mean, since we're on this talking point of what how did you put this earlier? What's the takeaway that we get from this show? I mean, my takeaway from all of this is, well, just be careful what you wish for, because it may not be how you want it to be, even if it's given to you. Even if you got what you wanted back, like with the whole, it was already explained in the beginning. Edward and them wanted their mom back, and they got her back, but not the way they thought. Like, and then that whole thing without sacrifice, there's this, and I mean, shit. You did everything you could, and you sacrificed all this stuff, and for what? To get what you wanted, but it's not what you wanted? Like, you say you know what you want, but then you're given what you were asked, and then you're like, this isn't what I asked for. Well, it is, but it's not.
So, since we're talking about Father and everything, I kind of want to ask you the big question. What is the truth?
The truth? Like, what truth? Like, that's such a broad term.
So, in this show, that's kind of where Father originated before his blood mixed in with Hohenheim's. He came from the other side, aka the truth. So, to you, in this world, what is the truth, that other plane that Edward and his portal go through?
Oh, like the other side? Like, is it the same plane where I can't remember his name right now. Edward's brother sees himself and he has the option to, like, it's the same place?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know. Like at one point I thought maybe it was like a whole religious thing. Oh, it's heaven, and you're going to go through these gates and pick these options between this or that. And then I thought maybe later on it was, oh, okay, the truth is maybe a conscious thing that they're dealing with, like an internal battle thing where, oh, here you go, it's presented to you, what are we gonna do? And the fact that there's someone else in there, like I never thought of a clear answer as to what the truth could have been or what it is, just that it was a place. Like I never even called it the truth because I wasn't sure what it was until you bring it up like this. So
in this show, I think the truth is the embodiment of the reoccurring phrase, all is one and one is all. So like everything comes from something, everything has to go back to something. And I think that's kind of like the idea of what truth is, as well as being this world's God.
I mean, yeah, you could say that. I mean, like if you see it as, I mean, they already said that at the beginning, the whole sacrifice thing to do this stuff, but you have to have the right stuff to do it. But there's a price to pay. But as to the truth being, I mean, if the truth is God, it'd be almost no different than how I saw it as, oh, well, this is heaven. You're there. So, like, you're not dead, but I mean, like, what are you going to give up to, like, be here or do this or that kind of thing? So, we're getting closer to the end of this particular episode. But before we get to that, we have one final thing to talk about. And that is the most mind-bending and traumatizing thing I've ever had to witness, like in show, anime, cartoon, anything. I mean, anytime I recommend this show, I always ask about this first. But Leo, let's go ahead and talk about the day that should not be named.
So anybody who has watched anime in the last 10 years knows what we're about to talk about. We're going to talk about, what was the name of that scientist that ain't shit motherfucking daddy? Who the fuck was he?
Give me 1 second to get that answer for you.
Give me a name. I need a name.
I'll give you the name. Hold on.
Because Ricky, when I catch you, Ricky, when I catch you.
This man, what gets, okay, so before I give you the name, what gives me the worst part about this, okay? The worst part about this is that it had to be the voice actor that played my favorite character in Yu Yu Hakusho, who did Hiei. I was so mad that it had to be that guy. I'm like, nah. Because, I mean, I was cool at first, and then they went ahead and did this. And I'm going to have you explain what happened. But his name is Dr. Shu Tucker.
So, Dr. Bastard. So, in this episode, Edward and Alphonse are on the pursuit for the Philosopher's Stone, and they need help from a doctor. And the doctor that they decide to go to is Dr. Tucker, who is currently under duress because the money he needed for his research was coming up, like his evaluation was coming up in order for him to get money for next year. And so in his time of desperation, he used his research for the development of chimeras and decided to experiment by fusing his daughter with the family dog. Just like he did with his wife 2 years prior. This is a very hard episode for us to talk about because it is just, I watched this when I was 12, and to just see that was just, Red Man take over. I'm about to cry.
Okay. So I don't know how else to go over this besides how I'm going to try to explain this to you people. So you just have to imagine the fact that you have no idea what you're watching. You have no idea what you're getting yourself into. And I didn't finish Fullmetal, the original series. I came into this with Brotherhood, and I'm going to say my piece about that later. But I did get far enough to somehow be traumatized by this situation given. But how it leads up to that is that, like she already brought up, he needs the money. He's got evaluation coming up to not be crazy so that he can still keep his work going to be a doctor to do this stuff, and he has to be able to show off, like, I guess, new material, and they have to be wowed by this stuff so he can keep his job and keep funding him so he can keep doing what he's doing. But the whole thing was, like, so you find out what he does with his wife, and then it leads you into this thing that you didn't think would happen, but he goes into this thing where he's doing research, and I'm pretty sure that in the original one, because Brotherhood just skips over this and just mentions the stuff. They don't do a good job of how we got traumatized. But I'm pretty sure that the original show it goes slowly into this thing to where he has an idea for this chimera experiment thing, and he has no other way or thinking about it, and decides that he wants to merge his daughter with the dog. And I don't remember exactly, but it goes from this episode to it revealing, I can't remember what happens. Like they were looking for her, and then he reveals the dog, and it tried to speak, and then that's when you realized that he did the thing to his daughter, to the dog, his own kid, merged with the dog just for science, just to have a living, for science, for like, I don't even know what to say, to be honest. I wasn't even heartbroken. I was terrified that this man did what he did and thinks it's okay. Like, really thought it was okay. But I mean, he is crazy. He is psychotic. He is whatever. He's on, evaluation test my ass. This guy's not passing.
So after that episode, you can really see a change in development with Edward specifically. Even in the last episode, him and Alphonse mentioned that they couldn't even use alchemy to save a little girl. And what he's getting at is humans should not be given any sort of power to recreate the miracles that God can do. Humans should not be given the ability to bring back life. Humans should not be given the ability to make a new life. Humans should just stay fucking humans. Here's the thing. I, as an adult, like I just recently watched this, I was okay. I was like, okay, I know what's going to happen. I'm fine.
But so you knew it was going to happen. Like,
I didn't start breaking down until she said, Edward, can we go play? I said, oh bastard, you son of a bitch. Do you know how happy? This is like the one thing I wanted Scar to do, and he fucking did it. He killed that bastard.
Yeah, the one guy who deserved it. Like, out of all of them. But like, oh my god. I can't even imagine what it took to write that. Like, is she okay? Like, to write that? I mean, I don't read a lot of books or anything. I'm sure someone can point out something worse. But, like, to come up with all this and write all that for your audience and go through with it, and then we're gonna animate it?
I know someone cried in that studio. I know in 2009, somebody cried in that studio.
Like, someone approved this somewhere. Someone just doing their job, right? Is that what they said?
And it hurts to admit that is the better ending for the little girl, Scar killing her, because the alternative was she was just going to be a science experiment.
It's just bad no matter how you look at this. Like, out of the whole show, like, how impactful this whole thing is to, like, the audience, how it's sadly going to be remembered as the thing that scared people in anime for the rest of their lives. Like, come on, this thing, even though you kind of forget about it later because all the other shit going on, but like, this thing does a thing that no other thing in anime, to my knowledge right now, has done.
In the final episode, when Edward's like frantically trying to figure out what to do, because he's not about to sacrifice his father's life. I think that image is what came across his head. Like, you know what? I don't need these godlike powers. I don't need this ability. I just want to save my brother and live my life. Yeah. And again, that's kind of why I like Edward, because at the end, he is a very much a self-sacrificing character.
Yeah. I mean, he also doesn't want to deal with all this bullshit. Like, he just wants to have his family and have fun and live normal lives instead of all this weird, crazy shit. He dealt with this shit way too much. He had an early life dealing with bullshit. So he was an adult before he was an adult. Not really. I mean, I know your opinions, you know mine. We're gonna give this show 10 out of 10. No questions asked. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. We're definitely gonna, as much as I wanna, I was saying this earlier, as much as I wanna say, yeah, okay, maybe a sequel, maybe extra stuff, I got nothing, because I kind of just want to see where they would go with it from here, but I can't think of a bad guy situation that would make them have to do something. Because it kind of already cleared everything up. I mean, they'd have to make something up, I guess, but I can't think of anything going forward, like if there was anything. Otherwise, this is a great anime. I recommend it to anybody, everybody. You don't have to watch the original show unless you want like a bunch more details and a bunch more other things. Brotherhood by itself does a good job of being a remake and covering all the other stuff and getting you to where you need to be. So unless Leo has something to mention about the manga stuff, that's different. I've heard it's very different.
So since Brotherhood was so closely adapted from the manga, I didn't even bother reading it. Well, let me not say that. I am collecting the deluxe editions as we speak. So, but like for this podcast, I didn't bother reading the manga. The only thing that I would like to say at the end of this podcast is, like I said in the beginning, Fullmetal Alchemist is regarded as one of the greatest animes of all time, and for the right reasons. But I just want to take away the fact that there are a lot of themes that a viewer can take away from this anime. I take away the fact that when the going gets tough, you can either sit down and cry your eyes out, or you can keep moving forward. And I feel like that is the biggest lesson I can take from Edward Elric. Redman, what's like a lesson that you might be able to take from this show?
I already mentioned it earlier, but just be careful what you want. That's as big as information as like I can give out to anybody with this. There's plenty of instances in the show about that very thing. You want your mom back? Okay, what are you doing? What are you willing to do to get for it? And is it really going to be how it was before? Like I said, they got their mom back, but it wasn't the way it was before. Like how we brought up with Tucker and doing the thing about his daughter and the dog. He really wanted to impress these people with science. He didn't have any other things to show them. He drove crazy. And he really wanted to pass his test. And while he thought, I'm not saying it's okay, but he thought and what he wanted was this. And he made it happen. But is it really what he got? Is it really, just be careful. And then Scar wanted to do what he did. He wanted to kill all these people, but he's killing the wrong people. And then is it really what he wanted? Because he ends up changing his mind later. And going after and helping the good guys take on the other people. Is it really what you want? Like, just ask yourself that before just saying, yeah, I want that. Think about it first. Just think about it.
So with all that being said, we want to thank you so much for sticking with us for the whole episode. We wish you guys a happy holidays and a good night.